All right, here we go. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the World Series of Spades podcast. Yes, you didn't know we was doing one. We are doing one now. We've tried to do it before. We weren't consistent, and we didn't really want to. We didn't have the time, and we didn't feel like it. We're making time. They say you make time for what you want. We're doing that now. World Series of Spades podcast, founder, whatever you want to call me, of the World Series of Spades, and then with me doing this podcast as much as he can. You gonna be here every week, Professor? You gonna be here?
Let's do it every week.
He gonna be
Sign
here
me up.
every week. He gonna be here every
Sign
week.
me up.
Ladies and gentlemen, my man, Professor T, aka the final boss, aka M. Bison, aka the Shredder, aka Bowser, aka Shao Kahn. You get where I'm going with this, man.
I like it.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
Good to have you here, man. And just so y'all know,
Appreciate it.
man, Professor T, he's one of my admins in the World Series of Spades League. We have a committee. It's myself, it's him, it's Quinn, it's Shake, and then also we have other folks that help out. We got my man Terrell. He does the social media. We got my girl Nicole. She does a lot of the in-person events. And then we got Todd Davis, who is very instrumental in making our. If you ask me, man, when it comes to the primetime space, she's the star of the show. Yeah, she the head, right? She the star of the show. I'm just I don't want to, I don't want to downplay my role, right? But it's like I get the thing going. I make sure that we do have a prime time, but I'm not gonna lie, prime time spades is nothing if I'm calling it by myself. Without Todd Davis, we don't have it. I'm just gonna be honest with you. She brings a lot of the levity and a lot of the fun to it, man, and it's always a pleasure for her when she gets on. All right.
It's a lot of fun.
So let's talk about a few things. The first thing I want to discuss, Professor, is I want to shout out one of our sponsors, all right, or one of our partners, Trickster Cards. The World Series of Spades online tournament we have a partnership with Trickster Cards, the Trickster Cards app, by far the best app to have your spade. If you want to get your spades fixed and you can't play in person, and I'm not just saying that because we're partners. Right? Like, even if you play spades and you came across a Trickster app, which I did, Professor T, what you did, we're like, no, there's great apps, but then there's this. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
They set themselves apart by the first thing that jumped out of me was the different variations of spades. You know what I'm saying? Like when I would play spades on like Spades Plus, it was only one way. You just play ace high. You know what I'm saying? But with Trickster, man, 4, 5, 6 different.
Sky's the limit.
Yeah. So before we get into what we really want to talk about when it comes to Trickster, tell me your experience with Trickster, man, and what you like about him, and yeah.
Sure.
Before you joined the league.
Yeah, I joined the league. And I remember when I joined, they was like, "Hey, this is the app we're going to use, Trickster Cards, and download the app, and you can kind of see how it is." And yeah, one of the first things that jumped out at me was the fact that you can choose whatever rules you want. Right? There's a lot of different options. If you play Joker, Joker, Deuce, Deuce, if you play Ace High, if you play nils, if you play blinds, if you play blind nils, all those options are there. And then they're always iterating. There's always kind of something new coming out. There's a lot of cool features with Trickster Cards. And yeah, I'm definitely a fan. I haven't played any other app since I joined the league.
And that's the thing, right? Like I have not since I was introduced to Trickster. I was introduced to Trickster during the pandemic, right?
Okay.
And my friend was telling me the one thing that got me to join the app was, of course, during the pandemic, or at least the height of the pandemic, you couldn't see your friends, right? So the fact that Trickster had the feature where I could be on video as I'm playing spades on the app, that was another thing that got me, right? Like I could actually play with my friends, in real time. You know what I'm saying? And so that was that was early 2021. So when I had the idea to do an online portion of the of the World Series of Spades, I'm gonna be honest with you, right? Like it was for me, it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer.
I get that. Yep.
So let's talk about something with Trickster. So they make various updates to the app based on their recommendations by one of our members of the World Series of Spades online tournament, Kojo. He has a direct line with Trickster, and anything that he suggests, Trickster implements. First of all, real quick, if you don't know, I'm being extremely facetious. But you know
So
what I'm saying?
sarcasm at the highest
Yeah,
tier.
yeah. I'm there. I'm being extremely facetious. But that's for people who just don't know the inside joke or whatever like that. He does not do that. We the people actually that you're seeing on this call, amongst others, we have a direct line with my guy Tony, and we talk about it at least once a month. So one of the things that he implemented that we saw today, right, or as of I think it was as of January 10th, which
The 10th, yeah.
was when was the 10th? Wednesday, last Wednesday.
10th would have been Wednesday, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now, so everybody knows in spades, normally board is 4. Well, now there's the option to where you can make board 5. Now, I'm going to start here. A lot of my family is from Jersey. That is the only place I've ever seen board being 5. And at first I didn't like it because I'm like, why the fuck is board 5? But it does encourage you to bid your hand. First of all, Professor T, I want to throw to you real quick. First of all, what is your initial thoughts just about if somebody if you sit at the table and somebody says board is 5, what are your thoughts?
I've only heard it once, and I was kind of taken aback. I was like, board being 5, like that's a I'm a math guy, you know that. So board being 5 means that's a big percentage of the books that's out there. 5 out of 13 is a big deal.
I
Like
agree.
4 out of 13 is like, okay, yeah, cool. Like you ain't got a hand, right?
Right.
But having to get 5 out of 13 is a much bigger deal.
Right. I agree with that. But for me, it prevents a lot of the underbidding that we see. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just talking about in the tournament. We talking about in real life, right? Like, because here's the thing: if board is 5, chances are, and if we play board is 5 and books made is 10, right? Well, you're at least going to have a 6-5 hand every hand. At least that's at the minimum. Then it also changes the wheel situation, right? Because
Yeah, I took a note. I was like, the board is 5, then what do you do about wheels? So yeah, I want to hear your
it
take on
changes the
wheels.
wheel situation, right? Because we see a lot of times that wheels get taken because for one reason or another, right? If board is 5, you necessarily don't have to bid the wheels, because if board is 4, you have to bid wheels to set there 4. If board is 5, you only really got to bid 8 and get 1 extra to set there, because like chances are if you don't have 5, you don't have 5. It is what it
Right,
is, right? I
right.
don't have to bid wheels so you don't get 5. All I have to
Hmm.
do is bid 8 and get the 1 bag so you don't
Right.
get 5. The only
Sure.
top now what that does is that causes a so I would and to relate it to the tournament, a lot of teams would use that to their advantage, right? Because a 8-5 set, that 50 points that's significant. 40,
It is.
you could climb back from that. But if I got
Sure.
2 8-5s, nigga, and you only have 4 in you, because like there's been times, Professor, where you're like, whew, we made 4. Thank God. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's so many times
Like the
that
question.
happens. There's so many times that happens. Talk to me how you feel about it.
Yeah, so all right, let's just talk about board being 4 first, right? If
Okay.
board
All
is
right.
4, if board is 4, and then there's a convention. If you're a real spades player, it's 8 or 10, right?
Bottom line. Bottom
Not
line.
right, right. That's a convention. It's not a rule, especially in Trickster. You can bid 9. It's not a big deal, right? But it's an 8 or 10 thing, right? And if you take 8, you're saying that I might not set you. If we do, cool, right? But there's a good chance we're not going to set you. But that wheel situation, if you go 10, you're saying we're betting, we would say it's a 2-to-1 bet,
Yes.
right? That we're saying that we're gonna shoot for 200 points here. If board is 5, yes, you take the 8, you get a bag, you set them. But does the 10 for 2 still exist? I guess that's where I am. It's like net. Now essentially you got to say I'm going to set you by 2 books. I'm going to set your board by 2 books, right? To shoot for that 200 points. And that's where, again, from a math point of view, I know that everybody's not a math person. From a math point of view, that's a big bet.
So here's my thing: when you're playing, and this is where I think a lot of teams in the world, because just real quick, y'all, just this is the World Series of Spades podcast, and we're going to be talking about everything World Series of Spades business and spades stuff. But we also right now we're in the thick of our World Series of Spades online tournament. One of the things that I don't see from a lot of teams is they don't play the math game correctly. right? They're not thinking of other outcomes correctly, right? The math game for real for me only really applies when you're playing league games. When you're playing, exhibitions and stuff like that, it's just like, all right, man, whatever. I'm a go for the jugular. What I mean, that's I can see that thought process.
Okay.
But if you're playing in the league, it's like this game count. This game counts towards your record. This game is a playoff game. Like, think about the teams that do play the math game very well. We talk about your Buies, and we talk about, when JQ suited with, what I'm saying? Like, we talk about those teams, I'll even say Chaos Control plays the math game pretty good.
Okay.
Jersey's Finest plays the math game pretty good. And my thing is that when you're playing the math game, a lot of times you have a better chance of winning, right?
Yes.
You have a better, because you're thinking of more than just, all right, I'm trying to set them. No, I'm trying to get however many points it takes to beat this team. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is like to go back to your point about wheels. It's like, do you try to get, set them by 2 books? That's not easy. But for me, it is like sometimes you do have an undeniable wheels, right? But now we're going to start seeing, if somebody's playing board is 5, we're not going to see the maybe wheels. Right? We're not going to see if I can freak this, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to get, because here's the thing, right? It's not worth it, because like you fuck off and get a 9 right now. Oh, here's the next part. If you get 9 and they get 4, both y'all asses is set.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Both y'all asses. So you got to think about that.
Now, so if you're both set, you go back 200, they go back 50. That's a 150-point swing. Right, that's not as bad as if it was board is 4, right?
Yeah.
Because if you get set, you're going back 200, they're going up 40.
Right.
That's a 240-point swing. That's a bigger deal, right? So you might even see teams take the wheels just because the math isn't that bad, right? If they get 4, we're both going back. It's not as bad as missing the wheels, because that meant they got their books. But I want to kind of touch on what you said about the math game, and it doesn't matter as much at exhibitions. You're right, but I'm seeing you with your Philly hat and your Philly jersey.
Hey,
big
man.
Philly fan, and I know you were around the time AI was a big deal.
Listen, I was outside when AI was a big deal. I was out the fuck side.
Right. Right. So his stance on practice.
Practice.
Talking about practice.
Talk about practice.
We're talking about practice, right?
Not a game.
But you play exhibitions as practice. That's where you put your shots up.
I agree.
Right. And if I'm playing different ways, I want to, if I'm playing some nils, I'm playing some blinds, right? But I'm also practicing on my bidding, right? I'm practicing my bidding. I'm practicing different score situations, right? And I'm practicing. I even saw Jersey a couple of prime times ago, where I remember the conversation was, oh, they're just kind of coasting, right? They had a big lead, right? And they were coasting. Well, I saw them playing like, look, we could essentially take 4s and 5s and get out of this game, right? Force them to bid wheels again. They already missed 2 wheels, right? So sure, bid 4s and 5s, just kind of play this out. That's playing the math game, right? I don't need to bid big and risk getting set and making this a game again.
Right.
Take 4s and 5s. If I go back on bags maybe one time, not a big deal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but like I said, so if you practice that in your exhibitions, when the league game comes around and it counts,
it's easy.
Yes, exactly.
I agree. So I guess the next question is, Professor, and we're the ones who, we vote, and we, I just want y'all to know, like, especially if you're in the league and you listen to this, like, a lot of the decisions are not, well, I'm not going to say a lot. None of the decisions are unilateral decisions made by me, right? Everything that we do, we vote on, right? Myself, Professor, Shake, Quinn, we take votes. Right now, if we're ever split, which hasn't really happened, blah, 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 we always discuss it in full. What are the pros in making this a rule? What are the cons in making this a rule? So I guess, Professor, I want to really, let's actually make our votes right now, right? And then we can talk about it amongst each other in the chat. That doesn't mean it's going to happen, but let's talk about it, right? Do we implement this as a home team rule in this tournament? So just so you guys know, for those of y'all who aren't in the tournament, Every team has their own set of rules that they play by. You get 20 home games and you get 20 away games. Now we've made addendums to your rules, like you're allowed to. So let's say like something like this, right? If you say, "Yo, I want to play board is 5," you get a week to send that to us. Say, "Hey, we want to put board is 5 as one of our home rules." We allow it. You know what I'm saying? After that, it's cut off. You can't do it no more, right? So I guess my question to you is, and I'm gonna answer after you're done. Do you think we should implement this? Give me the pros if we should. Give me the cons that we should. If you don't think that we shouldn't, or if you think that we shouldn't, give me the pros that or why we shouldn't, or give me the cons on why we should, and the cons on why we shouldn't.
I'm gonna start with the pros and cons first, 'cause I think that'll help me decide
Yes, yes.
my vote. Sure. I think the pros are, just like anything else. Like some teams play blind, some teams play nils, some teams play Joker Joker Deuce Ace High, right? So you allow teams to kind of play by the way they're used to playing in their home games, right? If I go to your house, Clint, I'm playing by your rules,
Facts.
right? So if I come to your house and you say, "Yo, board is 5,"
Board
all
is
right,
5.
well, I mean, your house, there's no disputing that. It's not. I can't come to your house like, "Nah, I don't play like that. I just don't play."
You just don't
Right?
play.
So I think that's the con is, and I've always felt like this, and this is making changes in the middle of a season is probably my only con. Right, allowing a team to make a change in the middle of a season when they've already played. Most teams, most teams have played between 14 and 17, 18 games. Right, so we're pretty much close to half of the season. Right. If we're allowing teams to kind of make it at about 20 games, say, "Hey, we got this new rule you can implement," that might sway some things. Right. So that's my only con, right? Just kind of middle of the tournament changes. I'm not a huge fan of, but if I'm going to vote, I'm going to say if you want board to be 5 in your game, go for it. That's my vote.
I think that was my only con too, Professor. My only
Okay.
con was, hey, you guys have played this way and other teams study how you play based on your rules. And to make that change in the middle of the season, yeah, it could be tough, right? Now, but what we didn't account for at the beginning of the season was that when we talked to Trickster, right? We didn't, we weren't, it wasn't we didn't know they were going to make addendums based on what we said or how we felt, right? And board is 5 to me is a real thing, right? There are teams, I'm sure, in this tournament, right? And going forward, who say, "Yo, no, I want board is 5." Like, I'm just putting that up. Like, my aunt Sonetta is very, 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 very particular about that. She don't really like playing board is 4. You know what I'm saying? Like, at my mother's house, board is 5. Bottom line, she ain't trying to hear that shit. At my mother's house, if you go to Philly, you've seen it, Professor, in the family room, the World Series of Spades table sits there. If you sit at that table, even though that's my table, you know what I'm saying? In my mother's house, board is 5.
And that's interesting. That's very interesting.
And the thing is that most people who play board is 5 right now, board is 5 in the tournament doesn't mean that books made are in the tournament, right? So it's like you can still, even though board is 5, you can still go 5-5, right? It is what it is, right? But for the most part, to me, and here's another pro to this, it forces these teams to bid their fucking hand, right? Like, we're not going to get as poor bidding. And I guarantee you, if there's a team that implements this, the bag situation will go down.
Yeah, it has to.
The bags will go down. You won't see as many bags as you normally are used to seeing, right? Like, you'll like, don't forget, we've seen games where there's 30, 40 bags in the game, but with teams. You put board as 5, it won't. But the bags will go down, but the sets will go up.
That's also true.
The sets will go up. So I think it'll be an interesting dynamic. I think here's the thing: it's a small change. It's a small implement that we can put in because, again, you don't have to do it. right? It's a choice. It's not like
Sure.
it's not a unilateral decision, right? It's not saying board is for or like board across the board, right? Like because this also don't forget on the app you don't have to play board is for.
That's true.
You don't have to play
But,
board is for you. Now we make you play that way because this is the World Series of Spades. But if
right.
you're playing by yourself on the app, you don't have to play board is for. We just like that ain't happening on our screen. You know
That's true,
what I
Steve.
mean? Like that's
So,
just not happening.
it's funny. Two things, Clint. One is, yes, I mean, the rule sets have changed, evolved since I played. I'm a season one player,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
And all the regular season games were a World Series of Spades rule. Joker, Joker,
Right.
deuce, deuce, no blinds, no
Mm-hmm.
nils, right? And then they kind of evolved even for the playoffs that year, and then the
Mm.
next year you implemented home rules. So yeah, I guess this is kind of an extension of that. And again, it's mid-season, but again, it's like a new rule for Trickster kind of added the possibility. So cool. But an interesting thing. So I think I have a new con. Doesn't change my vote, but I have a new con. Listen, some of these teams, that's how they play. They play the bag game,
Yeah,
right? We even got a team that
that's
we've
fair.
nicknamed the Bag Boys,
That's fair. That's fair.
right?
2K9 boys, they're
So,
definitely the bag
so,
boys.
so this change does maybe affect teams who play the bag game effectively, right? We can kind of look at some teams' home game record and say, oh, well, you might be 5-1, 6-1 at home because you play this way, right? And
Mm-hmm.
teams aren't able to adapt, right? Like I'm
Right.
not a good ace high player,
Me
right? I
neither.
played some ace
Me
high on
neither.
the app just to get some, there's a new stat thing, and I think I showed you that last meeting, but
Mm-hmm.
I played some ace high, and I played some teams who play ace high, and I'm just not good at it. So if I
Mm-hmm.
was in the tournament playing ace high teams, right? I'm not going to do as well as somebody who's Joker Joker Deuce Deuce or Joker Joker Deuce Ace because that's not the way I play as much. So
That's fair.
I
That's
think
fair.
adding this rule takes away advantage to some teams in their away games. But again, you're right. Like it's only really going to affect what there's only going to be a handful of teams that do it. But also, it only really affects 10 games for the season because it's a home team thing.
So
So it will be interesting if we do implement it. It's going to be interesting.
so I totally agree, right? So I'm looking right now at the standings, right? And I'm looking at PG 2020, who they're 8-5. They have six played wins. They have six played wins and five, and they've lost all the games that they played, right?
Sure.
But their home record, now I don't know how accurate this is, but their home record is 4 wins and no losses. Their away
Undefeated at home.
record is 4 wins and 5 losses, right?
Oh, wow.
So they don't lose when it's their rules. You know what I'm saying? Now I don't know if on the road like those whether those were played wins and blah blah blah. I don't know, but it looks like they're undefeated at home and they're not as good on the road. The same thing goes for Team We. They're 8-6. They're 8-6. And they're 5-6, but they're 5-2 at home. They're 3-4 on the road, right? Like these things, they matter when it comes to the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Because if
Okay.
if you're not a good road team, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, my thing is, so 2K9 boys, like right, or the bag boys as we call them, they can play the bag game on their home rules, but when they see on the schedule, you got a team that plays board as 5, you have to adjust.
Mhm.
You gotta
Yep.
adjust.
So I look, PG 2020, they play Joker Joker Deuce Ace, right? I think they're from Maryland or Virginia. So
They
that
got, yeah. Well,
tracks.
PG, I would have said they're from Maryland. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so there's actually a story there, and it is actually not because they're from Maryland, I don't think. But
Hmm.
I know one of them is a Q, one of them is an AKA. So purple and gold, pink and green. That's the PG.
That
Anyway,
makes sense. That makes sense. No, that
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah. But they play Joker
Damn, wait
Joker
a
Deuce.
minute. Purple and gold, PG, pink and green. I didn't think about it. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Yep.
like that.
Yep. So their 4 wins, Jersey's finest,
Mm,
Mad Setters,
mm.
Glory carries. Those are their 3 home wins. They have a forfeit win as well. So
So
out of
the
those,
mat they actually played the Mad Setters.
yes.
Okay, only reason why I said that is because I mean, and just to put this out there too on the podcast, we do give updates. The Bad Setters will be removed from the tournament. One of their players, they have a bunch of forfeits, and then on top of them having a bunch of forfeits, one of them left the actual World Series of Spades group on Trickster, and that's to me that's telling. So,
Yeah, I
Matt's,
noticed that too, but
yeah,
right. But
but
anyway, yeah.
yes,
So those three, so out of their 4 wins, they're home for home. 4 home wins. They played 3 of them, and I mean that's Jersey finest.
yeah,
They're
that's a
currently
good
number
win.
1 in their
That's a
conference.
great win. That's a great win.
Glory carriers are also a top tier team. So them having to, teams having to come to PG 2020's home rules.
Yeah,
They're doing all right. I
yeah.
can kind of do the same thing with Bree, but yeah, let's talk about yeah.
Home, yeah, home. So all that to say, I didn't even really make my vote. My vote is we implement it. My vote
Okay.
is, we're gonna go in. We're gonna give the teams an opportunity. I think we'll do it. We'll start it this. I mean, honestly, we might as well start it on Monday today, right? We might as well put the bulletin out. I'm saying put the bulletin out today, and then it gets
Oh, right.
implemented next Monday, right? So that means we have an entire weekend, right? Like my thing is, we'll put it out today. You all you got to do is just say yes, we want that option. No, we don't want that option, right?
Okay.
You got
True.
tell Friday to do it, right?
Sure.
That means that gives us enough time to put out there which team says they want to do it and which teams they don't want it. And again, it's just one piece of the rule to add that
One
you
piece of
want to
rule,
play
yes.
board is full. 5. That's it.
Okay.
Because everybody else will just assume board is still 4.
All right. So let's look at Bowie real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Out of their wins,
Mm-hmm.
they have 2 home wins.
Mm-hmm.
2 wins against Chaos Control.
They own them.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie
so
to you.
far.
They own them right now. Chaos Control be in Khalid and Rock be in the chat talking shit. I'm like,
Yeah.
we own y'all, dog. And honestly, Bui right now is the 9th seed, right? It's very possible that Bui could end up being the 8 or the 7th seed, right?
Hmm?
If that happens, I'm not gonna lie. Chaos Control might be out in the first round. You don't I would not want to see Bui if I'm in this tournament. I wouldn't want to see him in the playoffs in the first round.
Absolutely not. They're probably the scariest 7th to 8th seed you're gonna see.
Right. Facts.
Um,
And shit, I'm gonna be honest with you. Twin Tuition is 8. They're scary.
yeah. Those are 2 teams that I don't want to see early.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Here's the interesting note. If they're number 9, 9 is a scary position, right? Because you got to win 2 games to make the playoffs, right? So I mean, you can get a fluke loss in the play-in and be gone.
And that's gonna be tough. I don't see Bui staying in this 9th spot though.
If you bump up to 7 or 8, you only got to win 1.
Right.
So
and you get 2 opportunities to win 1.
Exactly.
Yeah.
2 opportunities to win 1. So yeah, if they can bump up to 7 or 8, they got a much better shot when they're making the playoffs, and they play a 1 or 2 seed. Yeah, I'm not trying to see we in a 5-game series. I don't care whose rules I'm playing.
I agree.
Right.
I agree. Now, since we're talking about the World Series of Spades online league right now, so just so y'all know, we have the World Series of Spades online tournament, 40-game season, and then we have a playoffs, and then we have a championship. The reason why we're talking about Bui is just because they are our defending champions from last season, and they were one of the best teams in the first season. So let's talk about this, and let's just have an honest conversation. Professor, who are the 5 best teams in this tournament? Well, before we go there, there's been a lot of debate so we have a group chat where we talk shit, right? There's a big debate on which conference is harder. So let me ask you, which conference would you say is the better conference? If we had an us conference versus them conference battle right now, and we're talking both teams now have 14 teams, right? Sort of like how they have an ACC, SEC challenge every year, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Who wins and why?
Wow,
Who
that's
would
a
come
big
away
one.
with the better record?
Let me just kind of glance at this real quick. You got Jersey and Camacho, the number ones. I'm taking Jersey if I'm being really honest. Camacho's a big. They've come up, right? They've been in all 3 seasons and they've kind of like risen up the ranks. But I got to take Jersey. Chaos against Dubs. You know what? Jordan never bet against Jordan,
I don't
right?
bet against Jordan anymore.
So 1-1. TC Tricks is a star-studded. Star-studded is the number one seed from last season. Going star-studded. Man, this is tough, man. Marco and 2K9 boys. I'm going.
So wait, time out. So you got Jersey's finest over Kamasha. I agree with that.
Yep,
You got
yeah,
Dubs over Chaos Control.
I do.
I agree with that just because that game could go either way. But if I have to take a team in the clutch, I gotta go Jordan. I gotta go Jordan. All right, TC
Yeah.
Tricksters versus Star Studded. What you say?
Like I said, star-studded being defending conference champion. I think I'm gonna lean on star-studded there. I saw TC Tricksters play Jersey Finest last week. It was a tough game, but I saw some holes in TC Tricksters game.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I think because they were chasing, they know they're playing a big team, they were chasing wheels that ultimately they didn't have. And I think that just kind of exposed something in them a little bit. So I'm gonna go star-studded.
I'm gonna go Star Studded too, and I'm definitely gonna go Star Studded if because they have the same record. They're both 11-5, but I'm just looking at who would be the tie. What's the first tiebreaker? Is your play wins, right? Or is it your division?
First tiebreaker is head-to-head. Second tiebreaker is division.
All right. So
They
it would
both
be
got 4
Star
division
Studded would
wins.
be the home team because they're 4-2 and TC is
Mhm.
4-3. I'm
Yep.
going Star Studded because they play Ace High. They would beat them Ace High easily. I
Yeah, like I
mean,
said, Ace High is really difficult.
yeah, they would beat them easily. All right. So 4 is Marfo versus 2K9 boys.
Honestly, I've been playing a lot with Kojo in exhibition. He's improving, and I've played with Tammy, and she's a good player.
She's better. Well, first of all, she is the better player out of
Okay.
Kojo and them. And that's no diss. Like I watched it. She is the better player.
Okay.
And that's not that's not a personal thing because me and Kojo, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and also just want to clear up the fact I don't dislike Kojo. He just knows he irks me. And that's just the bottom line. You know what I'm saying? He like the annoying ass little brother I never had. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
And
get
he's
you, man.
probably older than me.
Maybe so. But they're a good team.
Yes, I will.
But I
I
also
can
watch
say that.
2K9 boys, and they're the bag boys for a reason, and they know how to play that game.
Mm-hmm.
So in a one game, I'm going 2K9. No disrespect to Tammy and Kojo,
No, I
but in a
agree.
one game, I got to go 2K.
I want to give Marfo their credit. They've been stringing along some wins lately. Like since Kojo stopped worried about playing me and playing the games in front of him, he has no for real. They are better. They're a better team. So I would go with 2K9 boys just because I think they're the better team, but it won't be an easy win. But I think they'll win.
I think that would be a fun series.
It would be a very fun series.
The only way they would be in a series if they both make the finals, but
which I doubt. I'm gonna be honest with
sure.
you. I doubt.
Nuck if you suck, still the best name in the tournament versus M2S. I'm going Nuck.
That's a tight ass game. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think there's much that separates both teams, right? Like if I'm being honest, like that's not a like because right now we're looking at it. It's so far it's 2 for us conference, 2 for them conference. M2S and Nuck if you stuck. If Spades can end in a draw, I would bet on a draw.
Okay. And I guess technically it can in the app, right?
Yeah.
But if I gotta pick, I'm going Nuck if you stuck.
If I gotta pick, I'm going.
That's tough, right? It's tough. Now, listen, and I think it's funny because I think you're right about the draw. Like M2S, I remember when they came on post game.
Yeah.
And you can just hear AJ spit. He was like, I want to give you all the sauce, and he was like, I do this. Like he is a Spades player.
I'm going M2S.
Okay.
I'm going M2S. I'm going M2S. So we both got it 3. It's 3-2. You know what I'm saying?
All right,
You got
yeah.
3-2 in favor of us. I got 3-2 in favor of them.
Yep.
Now
All
we
right.
got Glory Carriers versus that couple. I think we're probably going to agree with this.
I'm going Glory.
I'm going Glory too. That couple, I don't know what happened to them. They were one of the good teams in the OG tournament. They
Sure.
played decent last year, but they're consistently mediocre.
See, here's the thing. I'm not sure you can really call them mediocre. They're 11-6. That's a
Yeah,
good record.
that is
That's
a good
not a
record.
bad record,
Let's look at their plate
right?
wins. They're 6-6.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't see that column.
Yeah, that's
That's
yeah.
fair. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm going Glory there. So I'm 4 for us. You're 3-3, I believe.
Yeah, so you're 4-2. I'm 3-3. All right.
Yep.
Giroux versus PG 2020. I think we
That's
agree on
easy.
that too.
Yeah, that's Jerome. Listen, I played PG 2020. I don't think they remember me, but I played PG 2020 in person.
Were they good?
Um, yeah, yeah, I did.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Charlotte, North
So
Carolina.
I got 4-3 in favor of them. You got
Them, I'm
you
four
got
and three in favor of us.
yes, yes, yes.
All right.
All right. Toshiba Augie versus Twin Tuition. That's
See,
hard to
this is tough.
call. That's hard
This
to
is
call
hard to call.
because I haven't seen Janet's sisters play. Janet's sisters play.
I've
You have.
I've played I've played Janet's sister in person.
What are you going to
It's an interesting thing. It's an interesting thing because remember how we was like Spades Plus and hopefully I'm not giving too much away here. But I've only played Nils once in person,
It is with them.
and I've only played no board
Ooh.
in person.
Ooh.
And it was with the twins. It was with Twin Tuition.
Mm.
Um,
I'm
good
gonna
player, but
go ahead. I'm sorry.
good player. They're both good players. I mean, we already know Jan is top tier on her own. Janelle's a good player with rules that she knows. And so that's why we played the way she's like, I had never played any other way. And she only played on the app, right? So for a computer spades, as Todd Davis likes to say, she's a good player.
So here's what I'm gonna say. Toshiba Augie, I have them winning for one reason and one reason only. They have to play a flawless game to win. Toshiba Augie cannot make any mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of times, if you notice, Toshiba Augie beats themselves.
They can, yes.
They beat themselves, right? If they don't beat themselves, which I mean that goes for a lot of teams in this tournament, but they really struggle with getting in their own way sometimes.
I agree with that. They are a one thing I haven't said to them. I think they asked me for something. I wouldn't even call it advice, but one thing I noticed about them was that they get a lot of bags, right? And that's where you say they beat themselves, right? So if I got to pick a team, it's hard to pick a brand new team. But then again, Twin Tuition is not a brand new anything, right? They've known each other their entire
They're
lives.
twins. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, I'm gonna change my pick. I'm gonna go to Twin Tuition just because they're twins.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's a toss up too. And I think I'm gonna go with Twin Tuition only because
So
I
I
think
got 4-4 in them.
and I
4-4.
have 5-3.
Three.
Yep.
All right. Us versus Bui. No brainer.
Nah, no brainer.
5-4 in favor of us. Takers versus Gotham Knights. Takers is a better team this year, by far.
They are a better team. Gotham Knights is interesting because you got another veteran player on a new team,
Mm-hmm.
right? Mina's been in the league all 3 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
This season she has a different partner. But I'm gonna go. Let me just look at their played record: 5-4 versus 6-9. Okay, yeah. So Takers has a better played record. I'm going.
Takers.
No, I'm sorry,
Takers.
6-7. I'm sorry,
6-7 and 6-9.
Yep.
And then I'm looking at the margins. They both, 30 points is separates them. I just got a feeling Takers would just beat them. I mean, that's just really
so
what
too.
you know. So you got, what do you have? I got 5-5.
That means I have to have 6-4 because I think that was the only break we had. We only had that one break. So yeah, I'm 6-4 us. So if we're doing that, it's
Yeah, this is good. This is close. All right.
yeah.
Then we got Croatia's best versus Militom. Just off the strip that I've not seen Croatia's best, and I've seen Militom, and I know they can play good spades if I'm gonna go Militom.
So I'm actually going to do something here. It's interesting because most of the teams in us still play. We only have like one or two teams that don't really play anymore.
Oh, I'm
I don't
looking
think
at
Croatia
Croatia's
plays
best. They
anymore.
got 1-1 played wins.
Yeah, they've only played 2 games. But they're tough. I mean, because they're called Croatia's best because they're in Croatia.
They're literally in Croatia.
Yeah. Yeah, that was tough. But yeah, I'd give it to Militan too.
Okay.
PG Finest still plays. I think I might stick him up plays. Yeah, I think so a little bit.
Yeah. Double D's House of Minix. I mean, the rest of these, I'm gonna be honest with you, 12 through 14, because I'm gonna take out the mad setters. 12 through 14 is a toss up.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm actually not gonna count them. I'm gonna stop at
Okay,
11.
okay, that's fair. So if we're stopping at 11, that means we have an odd number. I have 7-4 now for us, so it's a little bit.
And I have 6-5 for them.
Yes,
Well, I have
yes,
6-5 for us. I have 6-5 for
yes.
us.
Okay, so I think we're agreeing by the slightest of margins that us is a better conference if we're
By
going
one
head to
by
head.
one game. And let's be real, right? Which one did we split on?
Was it Marco and 2K? No, it was Nuck and M2S, the five.
That and let's be real, right? That game could literally go either way.
That can go either way. And I think if either one of us flipped our vote, it wouldn't be yeah. I don't think there would be any issue with that.
Right. So that's what I was trying to tell Khalid in the chat. I was just like, look, this isn't y'all not us as a good conference. Don't get me wrong, but it's not overwhelmingly better.
It's not like
It's
last
not.
season. Last season was
It was overwhelmingly. It was an overwhelming difference, right?
yeah.
Like, but this season, no, they're not overwhelmingly better,
Nah,
right?
parity is real this season.
Right. And you got any of these, like, I'm gonna be honest with you, 1 through 8 in both conferences, 1 through 9, and I'm 1 through 9 in us and 1 through 8 in them can easily be in the finals. Depending on how this works.
Yeah, I'd say any of those could be Final Four. I think,
Final Four, yes. Final Four, yes.
yeah. I guess if we're gonna call it, who do you have a final? Do you have a Final Four like in mind here, or is it too early?
I have a Final Four in each conference. So
Okay.
I got to the conference semis, right?
Okay.
So in the us conference, the conference semis will be Jersey's finest,
Okay.
Chaos. It depends on the seeding, but I'm just picking the four.
Sure, right.
So basically, I'm picking the 4 best teams in each conference.
Got it.
In the us conference, I got Jersey's finest, Chaos Control, Team Bui, and Nuck if you stuck.
That's solid. I have Jersey definitely. I have we definitely. You say Chaos and Nuck?
Yeah, that's just the best teams. I'm because again,
Sure.
depending on how the seeding plays out,
Right. Yes.
that
You're
might
right.
not
That's
that might not happen.
right. That's something we can't control just yet. You know what? I'll agree with you. Jersey, we, Chaos, and you said Nuck.
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
And then for me in the them conference, I got Dubs, Jaro Animals, M2S, and Star Studded. With maybe Team Marvel. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a believer in Kamashi yet.
Okay. That's fair.
I know I'm not yet. Like 6-2 played and you're 12-2. I'm sorry. I'm not convinced yet. I'm not
I
convinced.
get that. I got that. I agree with Dubs. Dubs. I think Dubs is the best team in the conference right now.
By far, to me, by far. By far.
If this was an in-person tournament, Jaro would be in my top 4.
If this were in-person tournament, Jaro would win.
I don't think Jaro is on my top 4 if I'm being really honest.
So who do you have?
I have Dubs. I have M2S.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sold on Star Studded, if I'm being honest with you. I like them.
Hmm.
I think they're cool. I'm not sold on it, but then again, they play ace high. Dubs,
That's
M2S. You know what? Yes, Giroux and Tasha.
ooh, that's interesting. That's interesting. See, I got Tasha them. I got them six. I got them six
Here's
between
the
them and
thing.
T. And I think they can beat Marfo. I think they can beat Marfo.
So I think there's always a spoiler. Last season, M2S was the spoiler,
Yeah,
right?
because
Because they
we
ran
thought
through
it was gonna
T
be
and
Bui and Giroux, and it didn't happen.
right, because they ran through TNT, Shake, and they ran through
Giroux
Giroux. They swept them both.
swept them both, and then got swept.
Yeah, and then they got swept. Right. Right. I think there's always a spoiler. And if I'm looking at both conferences, I think
Is the
Tasha
spoiler?
Maagi is going to be the spoiler for the them conference.
So if I have to pick a spoiler in the us conference, it's probably it's going to be the 2K9 boys.
Okay.
They're
That's
going to be
fair.
around. They're going to be around. They're going to be around. They're going to be around. We may not like their brand or style of play, but they're going to be around for sure.
Yeah, they're definitely a strong team.
Okay. Well, that's how we feel about the tournament. Let's just real quick, let's give some small World Series of Spades updates or just
Okay.
things that's going on around the league or not just or with the World Series of Spades in general. First, let's talk about Trickster. All right. You see that they implement stuff that we do. One of the things that I'm not saying it's happening, but I am allowed to say it's in talks.
Okay.
The idea of the reneging is a strong possibility to be implemented in the app. It's a strong possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's like, look, if we talk it in Spades term, right? We got a lot of our stuff implemented. We have four or five, but we do have a possible. Depending on, and it's more so based on the coding and stuff like that, and other things that he want. Like, make sure his thing is, if we're gonna do it, we want to do it right. So if it can't be done right, it won't happen. But there is a possibility it can happen. What are your thoughts on that?
Now, I think it's a bigger deal if it happens bigger than five being bored, right?
Way
Because
bigger, way bigger.
this gets us closer to table spades,
Damn,
right?
yes.
This gets us closer to table spades where reneging is a thing. Right now, you can't renege because it highlights only the available cards,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Like if clubs leads and you got a club, it's
You
only going
have
to
to play.
highlight your clubs, right? But this does it in two ways. Number one, yes, it makes it closer to table spades where reneging is a possibility, and catching is possible because that's one of my superpowers. I'm a catcher renege, right? So that's what makes me a solid player. But two, you notice sometimes, you fat finger it, you mean to play like the king of diamonds, you end up playing like the three of diamonds, like, oh, fat finger, right? Oops, misclick. Now, misclick now means you reneged or can mean you reneged. So now I think we have a lot bigger things to play. And it's like if you play on your iPhone versus playing on your computer or a tablet or something, those mistakes can cost you bigger than just oops, like I
Right.
gave up a book because I clicked the wrong card.
I'm going to be honest with you. If that gets implemented, I think, and if we implement it in the World Series of Spades, or if because that has to be a World Series of Spades rule. That can't be a rule that you can play or play without. If we implement that, that has to be a firm, solid. That has to be a rule.
Across the
What?
board.
Yeah, that has to be a rule across the board. What will change is your time to play. And the only reason, because how long is the time to play right now?
Currently, it's 15-15, 15 to bid, 15 to play.
So I would increase the time to play to 30 seconds. And the only reason why is just because at least that gives you more time to make the correct play. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Like, I don't want to force people into reneging. 15 seconds is long enough, but 30 seconds, if you fat finger, you deserve it.
Fair.
That's where I'm at with it.
Sure. I mean, you think about last season, it was 30-30. We've been so it's funny because we're fighting different masters here, right? Like moving it from 30-30 to 15-15 was to reduce the possibility of cheating and things like that. And we've kind of seen that in the league over the past couple of seasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now, yeah, if we have reneging as a possibility, then now we're kind of going the other way just to make sure teams are playing. I don't. I think that might be something we talk about offline,
We
right?
should definitely, yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah, we definitely
Yeah,
should.
yeah.
But
But I think just the possibility of having a reneging rule means we get closer to
table spades.
table play. And especially you think about just kind of over the past 3 seasons, everybody talks about how much better they are on the table. Like, come see me on the table, come see
Right.
me live, blah, blah, blah. Cool. We're getting
Now
closer to what it
to
would be in real
on
life. And if you are one that can call a renege,
yeah,
like this is an advantage for you.
you facts because you're paying because a lot of people don't pay attention to the board like that. You to
Right,
catch a renege, you have, and I'm talking about you got to be paying attention up until the last card.
right, right. Yeah.
So
So it's gonna be interesting if and when it gets implemented. Because I would love to see like the different options. We'll figure out as an admin team how best to introduce it
right,
to the league.
right.
It's gonna be interesting. So I think this with the board is five. This is really bringing some different dynamics to this league, to this brand. It's gonna be fun from this side at least.
I agree. And then next, the last thing that we're going to discuss is we have this is on this is on the in person front. We will be having a World Series of Spades HBCU tournament, and this will at first it will be taking place at Howard University between the dates of April 8th to April 12th. It'll be 2 to 3 day event depending on how many people. It'll be a 2 to 4 day event depending on how many people sign up or whatever. So the first day or 2 days will be strictly us teaching how to play spades. And then the other 2 days will be the actual tournament where you can be the champion of your school. And what you get a trophy, you get scholarship money, you get bragging rights. But last but not least, you get 2 free tickets to come to our Roots Picnic tournament, which there will be more information on that coming soon. And then last but not least, you will be eligible to play in the World Series of Spades television show.
Big deal.
What's your thoughts on that, Professor?
So I like in-person stuff, right? Again, I think it separates contenders from pretenders. And I'm a big fan of just kind of like making sure that if we're being really honest, right, trying to get the younger people into
That's
spades.
yes, yes,
You
yes.
know what I mean? Because listen, I don't know how old everybody is in the tournament, but you have, I think we trend a little bit older
Yes, we do.
just because younger people don't really play anymore. Like I talk to younger people all the time and like talk about spades. Oh man, I don't really play spades. Like what? But
Right.
I learned as a kid, like a kid,
Yeah,
right? But
same
I
here.
don't think I don't think we're like my son is 14, he doesn't play spades,
Yeah,
right?
and yeah,
Just because
mhm.
it's a different dynamic now. So it's like if we get to go into colleges and teach people who don't know how to play, or at least improve people who have maybe played once or twice or only play on the app. Cool. Here's how you play in real life, and then make it a tournament, and then bragging rights at HU. Let's go.
And it's going to be a like we're really making like so our partners and we can't say who they are just yet because we haven't
Not yet.
signed anything, but we
Not yet.
have a pretty major sponsor and one of their biggest thing is they're trying to get the youth, and I think this is going to be a big deal for the youth. You know what I'm saying? Like we are, like we've gotten away from teaching, because here's the thing: a lot of people in my generation, even though we play spades, a lot of us don't know how to play spades. Now the reason, and that's why you don't see the younger kids playing spades. But right now, we have an opportunity to make some changes, and I think that's what we're going to do, and I'm excited about it. You know what I'm saying?
Boots on the ground. Boots on the
Boots on the
ground.
ground. Facts.
Yep.
So yeah, man, that's pretty much it. And what's going on this week in the World Series of Spades? I'm excited to come back and do this every week now, because whether or not we have an update or what's going on with spades, we can also talk spades. We can, this is your spades hub now. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Professor, man, I'm glad to have you here. Of course, we'll have guests on whenever we can, you know. But this is dope, man. Thank you for coming on, man, or thank you for being a co-host of this, man, and you know
I
also
appreciate it.
being my partner in crime in the World Series of Spades, as well as us. You know, we are 1-0 together on the table. Shout out to SMD. Let's real quick. Saying SMD and you lose is nasty work, dog. I'm sorry.
As
On
you're
the
losing.
last, actually losing is the last nasty work.
Ah, man.
Yo, but anyway, all right, man. So yeah, man. For myself, Clint Coley, for the final boss Bowser, aka the Shredder, whatever you want to call him, you know, Professor T. Thank y'all for listening, and we will see you back. So we're gonna try to be consistent with doing this every Monday. Every
Okay.
Monday we'll get a new episode.
All right.
All right.
Cool.
All right. Thank you for listening. Thank you for laughing. This podcast is over.
That's a T out.